Hello, everyone. Welcome to Get a Load of This. This is Cameron, your host. And today with us, I've got additional host Thomas Comstock. What up, Thomas?
Hey everybody, how you doing?
What up? What up? And then I'm very excited. We got a special guest, Mark Manera, with us today. Um, I think his mission that he's been doing, he's been blowing up across social media. He's been getting involved in the trucking industry. I've seen him doing great things over the last couple years. So this is one that you guys definitely want to tune into. I think it's a big problem in the trucking industry. Not even isolated to that, really many industries, but he came up with a solution that you have no excuses. And so I'll let him introduce himself. But before we do that, Mark, and if you watched the last podcast or a few before that and listened, what we try to do is figure out, since we're surrounding the trucking industry, what would your CB handle name be?
Oh man. Oh, you put me on the spot here. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I was like, oh, I hope they change the question every day. I'm trying to think. Maybe something. I don't want to go like what everyone would think, like something about like fitness or something. I don't know. I don't know. I hate to be the guy to say. The other guy kind of got out of it by saying, "You guys got to give me one, right? You don't earn your own nickname. You got to earn a nickname. You don't make your own nickname, right?"
That's true.
So yeah,
I
I
think
don't know.
it's well played there.
Maybe we'll see
What's
what comes up through this podcast, and we'll see what you
Yes,
may name yourself.
we'll let it come in. Anyways, Mark, take a minute, introduce yourself. First, let's tell folks what you do. For those that don't know, Mark is basically into fitness, and he has a technology-based app that is a great solution for truckers on the road, at home, really any time of day. I love it. I was following it. I was checking it out. It's something we offer to our clients. I think it's great. So take a minute, introduce yourself, and let the listeners know what you do.
Yeah, first off, I wanted to say, Cameron Thomas, thank you so much for having me on. So my name is Mark Manera, like you said. I'm the founder and CEO of the Trucking Fitness Company, and we help truck drivers, owner operators, trucking companies from a corporate wellness standpoint, really exercise consistently on the road, live a healthier life, and our ultimate goal is just to help truck stay behind the wheel longer and retire on their own terms. And we do that through our app-based platform, right on the driver's phone. And just like you said, Cameron, it's all about trying to I think health and wellness. A lot of people think it's all or nothing, and it has to be this complete 180 flip. Yep, right. And it's so easy to fall into it. And it's it's kind of like a punishment of, I'm doing this terrible thing, I'm on this end of the spectrum, so the only way for me to get out of it is to completely flip to the opposite side, live this super restrictive life, stay 6 feet away from every carb you see. And it's unrealistic. And when you put it in the constraints of the lifestyle that a truck driver lives, it's not realistic. So I have a background in the physical therapy, 4 months away from graduating with my doctorate degree in physical therapy. And I actually got started working with truck drivers on the rehab side of things in the PT clinic. And I really saw firsthand the struggles that they go through. And on the same token, I don't know if either of you have been to physical therapy, but you get to know the patient a little bit better than if you go to the doctor, you're in and out in 5 minutes, right? So I got to have great conversations with the drivers, and I got to see how good trucking has been for a career, but I really got to see also, the struggles that they dealt with when it came to, you ask the question, hey, how often do you exercise? And they look at you and like, we don't do that. We're truckers, right? Or you say, hey, can you eat? What are you eating out there on the road? And it's, McDonald's, fast food, truck stop food. And, I just really saw the struggles and the, I guess, accumulation that lifestyle has when you add 30, 40 years of doing that has on the person as a whole. And we're not even talking about just the obesity standpoint or just the diabetes standpoint, but just the overall effect that person has, that has on that person's health. And also these men and women sacrifice so much of their adult life on the road, especially if they're over the road. And if they don't make health a priority, they don't get to enjoy the fruits of their labor after they graduate, or graduate after they retire, right? And so I really came into this saying, okay, if I'm going to make a huge impact on this, number one, I have to build something that smacks the drivers right in the face, that says, hey, this was built for me. This fits into my lifestyle. This is not like a, oh man, 30-day challenge. I got to hit the gym every day. Like, okay, it has to be realistic. And then number two, I kind of looked at I looked at the industry as a whole, and I said, wow, driver's health is not only affecting the driver, it's really affecting everyone in the industry. And if we can get everyone behind it, and we can make an impact on the driver's health, everyone wins. From the truck drivers to the companies to the insurance companies, and you guys know all that, and we've had a conversation, Cameron, about that too. So what I'm right now focusing on is using the companies as a vehicle to really push our mission and get to the drivers, and in the same time show the companies that offering a program like this not only helps in the long run with work comp claims, health insurance costs, but also shows your drivers, hey, we're thinking about you more than just you getting from point A to point B, and
Right.
you're more than just a line on the Excel sheet. So
Well,
that was
and
a
every
long-winded rant, but
no,
yeah,
I
that's
I
that's
love
that's
it.
what we're doing.
Nope, and it's good. I think it gives insight into what you do, and it clearly defines that. And if people don't or haven't seen you on social media, which would be crazy to me, but if they don't have LinkedIn or for whatever reason aren't following podcasts, then I guess they might not know. And you talked about everybody wins. I think one segment you didn't mention would be the public, because a clear, focused driver, alert driver, better in shape, like you're talking about for mental and everything else. I mean, the public's safer at the end of the day, right?
I completely agree, and I think I have a little bit of a different insight from a year ago, well, a little bit over a year ago. I wasn't in transportation. I didn't know anyone in the trucking industry, and I kind of shotgun myself into this with the inspiration of working with the drivers in the clinic, and coming from that outside perspective, I understood what society and like our culture as a whole, honestly thought of truck drivers. And
Yep.
it's not something that, me sitting here in grad school as, mid 20s is something that a lot of my peers are like, yeah, I'm going to grow up and strive to be a truck driver. And it's unfortunate to me, and I think that's one of the identity of a truck driver is one of really the reasons why a lot of the conversations in the industry is, hey, we have a driver shortage, we have a shortage of qualified drivers. And so I think that one of those pieces of pie, I don't think it's the whole solution, but I think one of the solution is, hey, let's help drivers live a better quality of life out on the road, and also healthier people as a whole, are our society says, hey, that's something I want to strive for, right? And yeah, so and I think you can kind of even go even more of a further bird's eye view away and say, unhealthy drivers are more inefficient, and inefficient drivers take longer to move freight. Freight takes longer to get there. All of a sudden, my frosted mini wheats are, instead of $3 a box, $4 a box, because it costs more to get them to Walmart, right? And obviously there's a lot of things that are in the middle of there, but that's kind of some of the motivation behind me of saying, hey, I want to do my part, and our mission is to help create a healthier, happier, more efficient truck driver.
I love it. Well, and our mission here on Get a Load of This really is to be the number one trucking podcast and bringing value to the trucking industry, to truck drivers, to aspiring truck drivers, entrepreneurs. And I admire you for taking an entrepreneurial route and, coming up with this app and finding a void, creating a solution and filling it. Now, I didn't think we would meet, Thomas, you'll agree with this. Many people that when you introduce yourself to, let's say, a prospect or somebody you're wanting to help and work with, a bigger turnoff than, hey, we sell insurance. People hate that.
Yes,
How is your reception when you come in and say, hey, I want to help get you healthy and have you work out? Because like you said, it's all in, 100% in or out. So
Yeah, so our thing has been this. I think you probably can think back. How long have you been in owning or part of the insurance game? How long have you been in your
Oh, 15 years.
Okay, so think back 15 years ago when you were just getting in this and the amount of mistakes slash misdirections you went in how you target your service. I went through that. That was this past the first 6 months of what we were doing. And, I think what I was trying to do before was, hey, your fleet size is X, 1,000 drivers. Here's the cost. And when I would go to trucking companies, all of a sudden when you come up and you say, "Oh, it's gonna be X dollars for a wellness program," they get shields up. They don't want to talk to you because they're like, "Are my drivers even going to use this? Do I really have to? Is this going to help my company at all?" So, when I was thinking about this from a, going to the company standpoint, it was how can I create a win-win situation for the trucking companies? And so we've pivoted, and it's been great to see the companies, just I guess the reaction companies have, because what we do is we actually partner with trucking companies. It's 100% free to the trucking company, and we offer our program as a payroll deduction benefit to their drivers. And
Awesome.
what that does with the relationship with the company is the company can say, hey, what are they comfortable with paying? Are they comfortable with saying any driver who is interested in this wellness program, hey, they'll reimburse or they'll cover the cost? Maybe some say, hey, we'll go 50-50 with you, or maybe some say, hey, we'll give you a great discount, because when we have a corporate partnership, our programs, if a driver goes signs up on our website, it's 24.99, but we give a 40% discount to the company drivers of a company that partners with us. So that I think that we've seen just a change of attitude, a change of openness from the company standpoint of saying, oh, okay, it's completely free for us. This is great. We can offer this. We don't have any skin in the game. Well, hey, I'm okay. Any driver who's interested, perfect. We'll pay for them. It's okay. And what I've seen is, if you got a group of 1,000 drivers, not unfortunately, not all 1,000 drivers are going to be jumping out of their truck seat for a wellness program, but you have a portion of drivers. And I think that companies need to what I've been, the first 6 months I was doing was I was trying to convince the 70-60%, whatever that number is, that don't aren't interested in a wellness program to come on. And this mindset shift in the pivot has been, hey, let's put all of our focus on the drivers that want the solution, want to make a change, just haven't had the resources and guidance put in front of them. And let's really get those people on our team and start building, this army to go to war, right, against the driver's health problem in the industry. And what we've seen from there is, drivers talk to other drivers, and once you kind of get that part of your culture in your company, more drivers are like, hey, this is interesting, let me try it out. So that's kind of the pivot we've made, and it's been really awesome to see some of the companies open up and say, hey, this is a void that we haven't been able to fill, but this is a perfect solution to it.
I think that's great. You're taking a tribal approach. So if you get
Mm.
all the people in the tribe, it'll expand and it'll be contagious. And I think deep down, really, I mean, I know myself for sure, you have a desire to be better. You want to be in better shape. You want to have more stamina, like all the benefits that come with a healthy lifestyle, eating better, working out, getting the blood moving, getting your brain going. And I think that, initially you might get some pushback, and that's your brain, that you need to tell to shut the F up and say, hey, quit being a little bee and like, let's get this thing going. But you bring awesome solutions to that because in one of the recent things I watched for you, it's like, hey, if you just have 5 minutes, here's something you can do for 5 minutes just to get your blood moving. Even if it's just air squats or something outside the truck or even inside the truck, what are a few of those quick hit activities that you think are beneficial, especially for someone that sits all day, which sitting could be an Olympic sport, but it's not the right kind of Olympic sport, right? I
Mm.
know that you know that, Mark, and it's terrible for everything. And me, working somewhat in a desk job, I hate to admit, I actually got a whole standing desk, and I've been standing for quite a while now. I got rid of the chair, and it's great. It does so much better for you.
Yeah, and I think this kind of goes back to the whole building something that smacks the drivers in the face, right? And says, this was built for me. And, you've got a group, and I put Canada and the US together. So you've got North America, a group of 4 million drivers who, as a whole, 85% are overweight. 1 in 7 have diabetes. And, as a group, if you're a truck driver, your life expectancy is 16 years less than the average population.
Whoa.
Dang.
Yeah, and it's
Wow.
like, okay, so this is obviously an individual, there needs to be some individual changes and some individual, like, hey, I am putting the pressure on myself to make a change. But if you have those type of statistics, there's obviously an industry problem or some type of cultural mindset problem. And so when I looked at that and I said, hey, okay, I need to give drivers the easiest entry point into some type of exercise, into eating healthy. And so what we've done is we've got our app right on the driver's phone. We send daily messages to them at certain times that, hey, a lot of drivers get off at this time, or a lot of drivers are up before they've got their break at this time. We send them a push notification right to their phone and say, hey, get some movement done, go on a walk, get your exercise in, check out the, restaurant guides, trying to say, hey, when we get to the day goes by fast, right? And it's easy to forget about that stuff. So we really try to get it in their head and, something that they're thinking about in the forefront of their mind. But right there, when the driver signs up, they have the ability to customize the program based off of, their current health and fitness level, but also where they want to exercise. So we give all the drivers a resistance band. That's the only equipment they need. So there's no gym or special equipment these drivers need to buy. They get our membership and they've got everything. Then they decide if they want to work out in their truck, right outside of their truck, or even at home for the local drivers. Or we've got some drivers who are, have extended home time and they're like, hey, switch me to the at home workout, so they can keep that going. So, we really have tried to build something that, regardless of what type of truck driving you do or trucking you do, right? We've got team drivers who are doing the inside the truck workout when their team member is driving. We've got other drivers who are over the road. When they get done, they go outside, get some fresh air, and, just get their workout done. And so those workouts are 20 to 30 minutes long. They can fit into their break. And the other aspect that we have is every single day we give the drivers an exercise of the day that takes less than 5 minutes. It's something that, you're pumping gas, you have a second, you're waiting for the customer to, drop and hook, whatever's happening, right? You can get outside, get some blood flowing, do one exercise, and it just keeps the habit going. And it kind of instills into your daily routine that you've got some movement.
That's
And
dope.
yeah, thank you. And I really try to take an approach of, I think there's a lot of aspects to the trucking lifestyle that drivers can't control. And I think it's really easy for truck drivers to get down on themselves because, hey, I can't control this, screw this. I'm everyone else at the truck stops, overweight or doesn't do anything. I'm just going to fall into that. And what I'm trying to do is shift the mindset to say, hey, let's not focus on the things you can't control. Let's put all the focus on what you can control. So that comes into play a lot with the nutrition aspect of, hey, you might not be able to control that you can only eat at McDonald's or you can only eat at the truck stop. But let's, give these guys restaurant guides, a guide to helping you build healthy meals at a truck stop. And let's, control what you choose at that restaurant or
Right.
what you choose at the truck stop. And thinking about, hey, it doesn't have to be, you're not striving to be Arnold Schwarzenegger over here. You're striving to be 1% better than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
And just building up from there versus, having this mindset of I have to completely flip all of my bad habits. Because
Yeah.
I'm sitting here myself and I've ate 3 desserts in the last 24 hours, and I'm not saying I'm the healthiest person in the world, but it's okay. And I'm going to just, hey, what can I do? I can control what I eat next meal. I can control that this afternoon. Maybe I'll get a workout in, right? And that's kind of the mindset I'm trying to get into these drivers.
Well, and I want to point that out too. I think that's a great nugget, especially one playing sports my whole life and then owning a business, 2 kids, took a dip, got out of shape, and now on my journey back, getting back in shape. If I was a truck driver on your program, I'd only do curls just because that's the only exercise there really is, right? But besides that, though, it's okay to let yourself slack a little bit, or hey, I'm going to maybe have a second dessert, knowing that hey, I can choose and control what happens after this. And I know it's okay to get off track and come right back. And it's probably good for you mentally too. I think if you're so strict, like you said, 100% all in, that's not healthy and it's not
Mm-mm.
sustainable. And I mean, eventually you run out of steam. And that's what happened to me. I went through that journey where you count everything, everything's calculated. I'm doing my macros, I'm working out every day. It's like high intensity hits, all this stuff. And then at a certain point, my mind was like, nope, you're not doing this anymore. Let's go get beer and eat some nachos and like bounce back. And for a while, I kind of yo yoed that. And then eventually, I let my mind kind of be like, okay, you're way too busy. And then I kind of just kind of fell out and got out of shape. And it's a terrible feeling because the further away you get from it, you actually end up being depressed and stuff like that. And I think that's a big problem with truck driving is it's a very lonely job. You're on the road by yourself. You're away from your family. It's thankless, like you said. The public, I don't think, has a great perception of it. COVID highlighted a little bit of it because, hey, let's celebrate the truckers now, and they're getting us our supplies and goods while we're at home, and we can't leave because this pandemic. So I think it shined a little bit of light there, but really, they're not. They don't get the praise they deserve for sure. So
Yeah, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. And I kind of like the acronym of, your health and wellness is very similar to starting a business, right? The people who show up consistently on a daily basis and just, put a little bit of, put one brick down, 20 years down the road, those people are doing really, really well, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they've been putting one or two bricks down every single day. The people who go and get all this motivation and sprint as hard as possible for 30 days, 20 years they're on their 40th sprint and haven't really gone anywhere, right?
yeah,
And I look at that, that's kind of how I look at fitness challenges too, of like, hey, yeah, they can be a great start, or they can be, for some people they are really motivational and they all do really get that spark going. But for the most part, I think people just need to, I like the phrase, Rome wasn't built in a day, but they sure as hell were putting a brick down every single day, right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And that's the
absolutely.
mindset that I try to take to, building this business, getting into the industry, but also to drivers health and wellness.
And you're not going to see results in a day. It takes
Yeah.
a pyramid of bricks to get you where you want, and
Yeah.
you got to keep them motivated. Give us a little insight into your background, whether it be sports, whether it be individual competition. What's your driving factor and got you into fitness? Because you just didn't jump into that, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so I grew up in I grew up in a family. I'm the middle child of seven kids, and
So you got
yeah.
beat up a lot.
Well, maybe a little bit, but but being seven kids, my parents were really a very, hey, every single one of the boys did Boy Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout, and then we got to pick one other sport. So I grew up playing baseball, loved baseball,
Awesome.
diehard St. Louis Cardinals fan, and I played baseball all the way up to high school. And I went to a pretty big high school. I think it was 650 to 700 kids per graduating class,
Dang.
and I kind of hit the burnout slash realization that I'm not going to be Albert Pujols, and so I kind of decided that I decided that it was just time for me to do something else, and I had a family friend that was really big into CrossFit, and so I got really into CrossFit and actually the competitive side of things, and I did a ton of uh, CrossFit and CrossFit competitions. I went to different local events and went through some of the regional stuff of the competition wise, and then that's where I kind of got into coaching, and I really started coaching at a gym and really getting into the coaching stuff, and that pivoted to online coaching. And I actually had a company before, the trucking fitness company, that did a one-on-one personalized coaching for uh, CrossFitters, weightlifters, and powerlifters. And
Awesome.
that was kind of what sparked the um, you know business entrepreneurial side of things, but also the online and
Yeah,
the
that's
power that,
badass.
yeah, thank you, and the power that online businesses can have because it can reach anyone. And that was kind of what I did for a year and a half during undergrad, and that kind of ended after last summer, or I guess last summer when I started the trucking fitness company after working with drivers on the rehab side of things. But I've always been really big into health and wellness, into fitness, into exercising. Now I do a little bit more lifting than anything that gets my heart rate up, but that's because of I'm a little lazy, but it's okay.
Well, eat into those gains though, right,
Yeah.
Mark? So you want to keep that cardio down. No, right now I'm on a bulking program, so it's a 12-week mass gaining program that me and a buddy are doing at my house. I got fortunate, my neighbor actually was a personal trainer. Her and her husband ended up deciding they were gonna sell their house. Our economy is booming for housing, I'm guessing, as in other markets. And so they bought a fifth wheel, packed the kids up, said we're gonna go, but they had this full gym in the basement. And so I was helping them move some stuff, and they had a huge, I don't want to say estate sale, but yard sale where they sold everything. So essentially a estate sale. And they were selling all their gym equipment. And I said, hey, how much for all this? And I ended up getting a still of a deal. I think more than anything, she knew if it was going to get used, she was okay and knew me, and gave it to me. So I built this whole gym, squat rack, bench, incline,
Nice.
decline, has the preacher curl set up, the leg extensions, everything else that you can do. So we just been hammering like this mass building program. And once we got about a month left, then I'll probably trim into more high intensity and try to cut a ton of excess weight and fat and try to slim down. I got a Peloton and other stuff, but I have not hit the Peloton as much as I need. So I'm not giving out that handle.
Gotta love that cardio, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
So
awesome.
it's just curls for days. That's
Yeah.
it.
Well, like you said, as long as you're putting a brick down every day, right?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, we're
exactly.
putting
Yeah.
bricks down. It'll be
I call
good.
that success for sure.
Yeah. Now I have to imagine, Mark. So one of the ways I'm guessing you kind of have evolved on your approach with partnering, and I love that term, and that's what we focus on, is really a partnership with our clients, aka trucking companies or trucking industry professionals, be it warehousing, be it freight brokers, be it transportation companies, owner ops, fleets, you name it. Is you're talking to them on a business owner level in terms of, hey, this is money back in your pocket, right? A healthier driving force equates to more profit, more runtime, less downtime, less crashes, less work comp claims, quicker to get back on the road if somebody does get hurt because they're starting from a much better standpoint physically. Let's talk about that. Tell me your approach when you partner with them and talk to a business owner or fleet owner on what that does to their dollars.
Yeah, I think that to be 100% honest, with a lot of the conversations I've had with trucking companies have, we bring it up, we mention it, and it kind of goes in one ear out the other because a lot of the trucking companies are much more focused on, hey, retention and recruitment and getting
Oh,
the
good point.
drivers and showing the drivers, and that has been our main stick, and the thing that excites the companies way more than, hey, we're going to decrease work comp claims, we're going to decrease health insurance, because when it comes to a wellness program, trying to equate some of those cost savings, it gets a little bit of a theoretical conversation
And it
versus
does.
saying versus saying, hey, this is a completely free partnership for your company. It's a great benefit that you can add to your drivers. It not only will help drivers to, be healthier, be happier behind the wheel, but it's going to also show the drivers that you're thinking about them outside of trucking. You're thinking about their lifestyle, their life after trucking, and trying to give them solutions so that they can live a better quality of life out there on the road. And that's the retention side of things. And then I think that, kind of going back to the company saying, hey, this is a void that we haven't been able to fill, it's because there's not a lot of trucking companies out there that offer any type of wellness, exercise, and nutrition aspect to their drivers. And so, from a recruiting standpoint, this is a differentiator. This is a showing trucking companies that not only, or showing truck drivers that you're trying to provide more benefits to them, and also providing much a better benefits from a quality of life standpoint. And that's been the main selling points for the companies and the ones that they are most excited about because, I think that one conversation I can think of right now that comes to the top of my mind was one company came to me and said, "Hey, we're really struggling and worried about a group of our drivers who have diabetes. And we want to show them that we care. We want to give them help because, yes, if they can keep their diabetes under control, then it will save us, health insurance costs. But we want them to stay behind the wheel and, retire on their own terms and not have to medically retire." And I think that was something that inspired them to say, "Hey, okay, we're going to offer this program to our drivers." And I think the biggest thing for us and the, I guess, conversation to the trucking companies is it's much more of a conversation of, "Hey, how can we get as many of your drivers interested and excited about this program as possible?" Because that's how the trucking companies win. Offering this program it's great, right? It's a great thing, but if none of the drivers are involved, then it doesn't really have the benefit, right? And
Right.
so when we work with trucking companies, we personalize our approach and really try to fit our marketing or whatever, however you want to put that,
Yeah.
promotion of the service into how they communicate with their drivers. So is that via email? Is that via text message? Is that through Keep Trucking app right on the ELD?
Right.
Whatever that is, we're going to adapt and we're going to send the messaging out to the drivers so that it just feels part of the culture and it feels that the company is already, trying to make health and wellness a part of their culture.
Man, that's an amazing answer. I could feel the passion in that too, and it truly
Hmm.
sells itself. And that's a much better answer than I could have given on anything or guessed
Well, I
that it would
appreciate it.
guess would have came out. So, yeah, you should not do physical therapy and go straight to sales.
Well,
So,
so that is I graduate in December. I am
congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
Yeah.
awesome.
So
Hell
I'm
yeah.
right now kind of doing the trucking thing on the side because I'm working on clinical rotations 40
Yeah,
hours a week in outpatient clinic right now in the middle of nowhere, Illinois, and it's been fun because I get off after a long day and I'm just pumped to go work on the trucking thing. And
yeah,
I'm really excited because I've seen this past year how much I've kind of grown the momentum, and I really feel like I've grown a really big base. And when I graduate, I'm gonna go full time on this,
love it.
and I'm just really excited to see what happens and the momentum and how we can just keep building the momentum even more and more. Um, and yeah, I really I think that I don't you guys aren't in the physical therapy field obviously, but there's not a lot of entrepreneurial spirit in physical.
Right.
You look at like chiropractors. I was just having a conversation with one. I think the statistic is like 3 out of 4 people who graduate from chiropractic school go and start their own clinic. That isn't it. It's got to be less than 1% of physical therapists that
Wow.
graduate.
Oh.
And there's just this like weird societal thing, and I'm the only person
You're the
in my
minority.
class. I
Right.
am, and I
Yeah,
just love it, and I think that I love seeing how can I push our mission because I'm very mission driven and push our mission to the most percentage of the truck drivers and
I
get
love it.
in from different levels. So yeah.
So you're gonna get attachments to the trucks. They'll be kipping out there, and I imagine they'll show up. They're all in tank tops, and like your tribe is like out in the yard just getting it. The other drivers are probably like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm good on that,
you
guys.
you never know, right?
It's
I think
contagious, though. It really is. I think it,
yeah.
and the
Mhm.
word will spread, Mark. Like you're probably finding out as truck drivers talk. I mean, who else do they talk to when they're at the truck stop? Other truck drivers, other company guys, people within their own companies, man. I
Mhm.
think it's going to spread like wildfire. And I know it already is. I know, like I saw it. I was introduced to you from Todd, who you're on his podcast. And I'm like, man, I got to talk to Mark because what he's doing is God's work for the truck driving industry. I mean, it's really amazing what you're doing. I love it. I think it's so badass.
Yeah, and I'm really excited because similar to this, and I'm excited about. I really like the podcasting format, and I started a podcast called Merging Lanes, and we are, getting
Shout
out.
out, go follow
Shout
that
out,
and listen to
yeah,
that.
thank you.
Yep,
Yeah, go
absolutely.
go check out Merging Lanes podcast, and I've been really excited because I think that podcasting is this like secret hack that no one knows about, because for some reason you can have a conversation with anyone you possibly want because you press record on it and you're going to put it on YouTube. So I think it's awesome that you guys are doing this too, and getting out
Thank you.
there and networking and kind of getting your name out there, but also being able to have conversations with awesome people in the trucking industry.
And that's what it's about. And we intentionally left, for us anyway, like a self-serving interest of talking about insurance out of our podcast. We'll tie it back in, like you had mentioned, work comp. I mean, there is benefits to people we are talking to that are bringing value to our clients, potential clients, but the industry as a whole, whether or not we work with them or not. I mean, I don't care. I'll help anybody. I get a lot of conversation and consultation stuff that they might not be the right fit for our agency, um, but I'll still give them guidance and still help them. I'll still connect them with people that I can know that will help their company in all shapes, forms, and sizes. So I love it.
That's awesome.
So
What episode is this? Is this going to be episode
we're
3?
coming on number 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
number 2.
Yep.
So
So
90% of podcasts quit before episode 3. So when you
nah,
record
we'll be
episode
there.
3,
Yeah.
Baby. We're good. We've
you
got
guys
a
are a
whole,
top 10%
we,
podcast right now.
we
That's
you're on next week, right?
All right. We got you for the next 4 weeks in a row.
We've made it, Thomas.
Yeah.
That's
We've
all we
made
needed.
it.
That's all we needed.
No, I'm excited about some of the guests coming up, and no doubt you will be as too, Mark. And
Yeah.
the beauty about podcasts, and like you're talking about kind of a tribe or what you're creating as a community, is likewise, we want to connect our guest with the other guests that I know that can help each other there, right? So we've got connections. You had mentioned Keep Trucking. We're going to be working with DAT, Peterbilt, Kenworth. I mean, there's a bunch of different folks. We're also going to tap in more on the association side as well, because they're there for the truckers. So we want their voice heard. And I think, like you had mentioned, podcast is such a great platform to just spread the message, get information out, especially if somebody's driving and they get recommended to listen to maybe an episode like this or something that they think could be of value.
Yeah, and
It's awesome.
my co-host is Mark, president of the Alabama Trucking Association. So if you
Love
ever
it.
are interested in that, hit me up. I can definitely get
Absolutely.
him on the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, and that would be great because we're not isolated to a region. I mean, we're actually from Washington to Florida. We're not in every state, but we've got connections. So if we end up talking to a potential client or we get a ton of referrals from, maybe states that we don't work in quite yet, we still have a lot of connections in the industry that we'll connect people with and point them in the right direction for sure.
Mhm.
So Thomas, have you been thinking of a CB handle name for Mr. Mark or what?
Well, something
Eminem?
coach related, man. I mean, he's definitely wanting to help people get better, so I like the coach idea, but he also brings a lot of passion to this too. So I haven't figured it out yet, but I think something around like Passion Coach or Coach Passion, something like that. Just because you're bringing a lot of energy, man, and you're really trying to take care of people. It's really awesome to see.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Yeah, I like that. I like that, coach. Coach.
Coach.
Uh,
I mean,
coach.
coach, I think, yeah.
It'd be simple enough, man.
Thomas, what do you have to add in? What have you gained, or what's a piece of information that you've
And
heard
all,
Mark talk about that we
yeah,
want to expand on?
I kind of want to ask a question because it really pointed or made my eyes kind of jump out of my skull a little bit when you mentioned the average lifespan detriment that the trucking industry
Yeah, that's
brings
a
to people.
crazy stat.
You said 16 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's mind-boggling, and obviously cultural problems with America and fast food and lack of positive health promotions, things like that, are something we have to combat to try to change that. But what do you think, besides obviously the food and the constant sitting, is contributing to that 16-year number? Because that seems just crazy. I don't even know how else to say it.
Especially in our day and age. I mean, it's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. I think when you talk to the drivers, they've got a lot of them say that 55 age. And when you turn 55, people start getting a little scared as a truck driver, and it sucks, and it feels it's scary because they're putting their they're literally sacrificing years off their life to get my brought some mini wheats to Walmart, right? And so, I think there's a couple of things that contribute. And I think number one, the fact that they're driving on the highway every day, truck drivers as a whole they have 11 times more likely to die on the job than the average worker. And it's because they're driving, there's a lot of different things that can happen, but also the contributing of cardiovascular, heart attack at the truck stop, something like that, because unfortunately that's not something that is uncommon. And I think that when I look at some of the statistics and I kind of look at it from my standpoint, you've got, I think they did a study on 100,000 drivers, and 70 to 90% of them have not exercised in the last 6 months. So I
That's
think,
wild.
yeah, so that's one of those reasons of, hey, let's
Yeah.
let's give them the easiest entry point into exercise. And what I've found is that exercise has this weird holistic effect that all of a sudden when you exercise, the grilled chicken looks a little bit better than the fried chicken, right? Or
Yeah.
hey, the extra hour of sleep sounds pretty good. And trying to do and make your lifestyle a little bit healthier because you're exercising. It's kind of that spark.
That's called a
Sorry.
keystone habit, actually. There's a couple.
Keystone habit, I like
Yeah,
that.
there's
Yeah.
a couple different things that you could do. Working out's one of them. Reading's one. Meditation's one. Where they precipitate other habits to change to make those efforts more impactful in your daily life. So if you start exercising, you go, well, I can't have that burger because now the exercise is all wasted. So now I got to start eating healthy, and then that just kind of builds momentum and hopefully will get us to be in a better spot in the future.
Oh, I
Domino
love
effect.
I
Yeah,
love that. I'm
basically.
gonna steal Keystone. I'm gonna
Yeah,
steal that from you. Okay.
that's the thing. Yeah, I saw it
Hey,
on
So
YouTube, so.
there you go.
Hey Mark, you had mentioned, and I maybe you know this stat, and I meant to look it up, but once you hit 55, you said folks start getting worried. But what's the average age of truck driver right now? I have to imagine it's pushing that number.
So I think 54 is the average age for the truck driver, and I think, oh gosh, this don't quote me on this,
No,
but
no, and
early
agree.
it's early 40s is the average age coming into trucking. The average person coming into
Wow.
trucking is 40 something years or early
Man,
40s. So that is kind of one of those pushes is that number's got to be, we've got to get more early 20s, mid 20s. There's a great association that you guys should actually have on the podcast called Next Generation of Trucking
yeah,
Association.
let's
And
do it.
yeah, and they are setting up high school CDL classes and getting
Wow,
people
that's
in
awesome.
high schools set up. And so I think there needs to be more things that drives younger people into it. And I think that kind of comes back to the identity of a truck driver. And I also think it kind of comes back to how trucking as a career is thought of in our culture. And I think it needs to be shifted to, hey, you love traveling, you love waking up every single day, you get to make really good money, wake up every single day in a new place and explore the world. And I think that's the message versus saying you get to be obese, smell weird, and you
Yeah.
know be pushed around by your trucking company.
Oh, they
And
get to see such
yeah.
amazing places around our beautiful country, and I have a lot of clients that embrace that have drones actually. So when
Oh,
they
that's awesome.
stop, they'll pop up the drone and they'll start checking out the landscape, checking out the loading, the unloading, whether it's farm or warehouse. Driving down the freeway on the side, they get these cool shots of video and pictures and stuff, and like just amazing scenery. And so you can tell, if you follow them on Facebook, a lot of these my clients will friend me or follow on LinkedIn or whatever, and you could tell that they're just passionate. And that's one of the things I would say a perk and a benefit of that job really
Yeah.
is. That that's awesome. Um, what would you say? Probably mindset's a big deal. I'm guessing is when you're starting to work with new potential folks that want to start their fitness journey or career, or like you talked about, there's 90% or whatever haven't worked out in the last 6 months. What are some baby steps? Like, what are some things? What's a piece of advice you would give to the truck driver? Let's talk to the truck driver for a minute on just taking little steps, little victories, little things to get you there. You don't have to, like you said, you don't have to jump in and start doing pull-ups and all these crazy things. You can just take baby steps and just little positive changes. So what's something that you recommend? Like, let's bring some value to them.
Yeah. Don't change anything other than 5 minutes a day. Move, exercise. Start there. I'm telling you, you don't have to. Don't try to change what you're eating. Don't try to change what you're, you know. I don't even start with trying to change what you're smoking. Whatever it is, right? You don't have
Yeah.
to make all of these changes at once. Start moving, start exercising, get blood flowing, get the hormones in your body rolling and feeling good about, hey, I'm getting a little sweat going, I'm moving a little bit. Move for 5 minutes. If that's following one of our workouts or doing the exercise of the day, awesome. If that's going on a walk or riding the bike or doing your own workout thing, I don't, at the end of the day, I don't really care. I care that you're doing something, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that is what I would say you need to start doing. And my suggestion would be to look in the morning at your day and pinpoint if it's during your break, if it's during, hey, you're going to have a little layover when you get to your client or the company that you're driving to, wherever it is, mark it in your calendar so you get a notification, hey, do some movement, and just set a timer and start with 5 minutes, because I'm telling you, the 5 minutes will grow into 7, it'll grow into 10, and then all of a sudden you'll be at McDonald's and you'll be like, oh, okay, hey, well, let me see what the healthier option here is, or that
Here,
last that
let's
you
stop that plug. What would you order? Like what if you're
what
like at McDonald's, because we
okay.
all know the truck stops don't have great options, or you're not going to see the great option because you're used to the bagged and the processed shit and all this garbage that they're going to order, or McDonald's. What do you order, Mark?
Yeah, so I would probably start with this. Let's say my normal order is a double cheeseburger, large fries, and a large Coke. Let's say what that's our normal order.
Sounds good.
My one
Sounds
percent
real good.
change, my 1% change would either be this, would be shifting to a Diet Coke
Okay.
or to a smaller Coke, shifting to a small fry, or just keeping the other two and switching to like a grilled chicken sandwich. Just make one
Perfect.
shift.
Perfect.
It doesn't need to be all or nothing, right? It
One
just
one
needs to be
percent better every day, right?
exactly. Yep.
I
No.
love
Yep.
that mantra. That
Um,
is so. I
Yeah.
would order the Royale with cheese.
okay.
The Royale.
Royale. And I think the
Little Pulp
artist
Fiction.
there's like an artisan grilled chicken, I think is what it's called. I think that's really good. I've heard a lot of drivers say the salads at fast food restaurants aren't great. And I don't think you have to eat a salad to eat
Well,
healthy. I've heard a lot of good things about Wendy's has good salads apparently. So we've got different restaurant guides that have been built out from our actual dietitian that works in our team,
love
but
it.
also from requests from truck drivers. And they
Yeah.
say, hey, I ate this, I loved this.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at the nutritional value. Hey, this looks really good. Let's put it on our nutrition. Let's put it on our refuel
So you
guide. That's
take
what we
the
call it.
thinking process out, which is great for the driver, because the easy part's listening to someone and say, listening to coach here. Hey, do this for 5 minutes, do this for 10 minutes, do this for 15. That's the easy part. Like working out's easy. You got to get moving and get the mindset ready to do that. The hard part, in my opinion, is the eating. It's the discipline and the habit of maintaining positive choices all day, not getting sauce, getting a diet, getting the small, cutting out something. And that's the part where I think you'll make major change on people and they'll see the results actually, I feel
Yeah.
like. So,
Yeah, I like to use, and I stole this. I can't remember the guy in the fitness industry who I stole this from on Twitter, but he talked about not grazing, right?
yep,
Not just when you're
yep.
trying to lose weight, stop snacking and stuff like that. And I think with trucking, a lot of people snack to stay awake while driving. So if that's what keeps you
Energy
awake, and
drinks, Red Bull,
yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
Mm,
and I'm not
the small
totally
finger foods.
against. Yeah, and I'm not totally against snacking. What I'm against is the environment that you set yourself up. So if you've got a whole bag of Twizzlers and a whole bag of Doritos in your front seat,
Twizzlers.
right?
I've heard
That
Twizzlers forever.
Red vibes are the way to
that's
go. Just saying.
okay. There you go. So I think that's the wrong environment for you to be successful.
Yeah.
Now, if you want Doritos and you set out one serving size in the front seat along with some apples and maybe a string cheese, snack away, man. Snack away, right? That's a great snack and that will keep you energized and also keep your mind, going while you're driving versus, lighting up another cigarette like unfortunately a lot of drivers do to stay awake.
Right.
Hmm.
I don't know how trucking companies wouldn't want to partner with you. I mean, this is such a huge added benefit to their driving force. Or you had kind of hit the nail on the head with the retention tool, because that with unemployment and I think we're kind of tapering off on all the added benefits for unemployment and stuff like that. And actually, I just read an article. I want to say the ATA just put out that last month we had a huge lift in new employee hires for warehousing, construction, and trucking, which is great news. And I think a lot of that comes from the benefits have all kind of been cut off in a lot of states for the unemployment side. So keeping drivers, less turnover, it's more profitable. They keep their trucks moving, they have less downtime. A healthy driver is able to get out and have more energy to do their pre-trip inspections, which will keep them from getting dinged out of service, which is money out of the owner's pocket. The load didn't get there in a timely manner, they can't deliver as many loads. I mean, there's this whole chain effect that comes with, I feel like, an unhealthy driver that you're going to combat there and just add such a value there. So let's well, and Ryan last episode had posed a really good question.
Hmm.
Thomas, do you want to ask that?
Yeah, basically, it's kind of like what piece of advice, what life lesson that you live by would you want to tell everybody to kind of impart a piece of your wisdom to the world? What would it be? And it doesn't have to be related to the exercise stuff, the trucking stuff. It could be anything at all. What would be your message?
All right, so welcome to my TED Talk. This is
Right?
no, so I would say I literally, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, or from just starting in this industry, not knowing anyone, is action's going to go a lot further than sitting there trying to write up the perfect plan. I think that there's a spectrum of just putting blinders on and driving your head into a brick wall, taking action and not getting anywhere. But then there's on the other end a sitting there writing every little detail and every little thing, and then 2 months, 6 months, 2 years has gone by and you still don't have that perfect plan to implement it. And the thing is, there's never going to be a perfect plan, and there's going to be so many pivots or along the way and changes you're going to have to make that you would never be able to see if you're not in it. And that has always been something that I feel like I am very proactive with taking action, and I will just make it happen and go and do it versus sitting back and having every little plan detailed out. So, for anyone who is trying to start something, who, if it's their exercise or their nutrition or even a business, like just getting started, you will see all of the other details will come together. It will. And you
Yep.
don't need to have this perfect plan.
I
You
like
heard
it.
it. You heard it from Coach. Get off your ass
All
and
right?
There you
go. Let's
go.
Get
There you
go.
moving.
go.
Get
Let's
moving.
go.
Oh, I didn't know we
Uh,
were allowed to curse in this. Okay,
Man,
okay,
we're
cool.
talking to truckers.
Okay,
Yeah,
there you
hey, we
go.
can
All
swear
So,
to
right.
the
I
fucking
mean,
wall.
this is a super PG podcast.
Yeah, we were good
No, and,
today.
and we're good with it. No, I love that. I think, or paralysis by analysis, right? They're going to sit there and analyze,
Mm,
perfect, fine tune, wait for the perfect moment, which it's not going to come. It
never
never does.
exists. Yeah.
So, no, if you get motivated on the couch watching the Olympics as they're smoking and drinking a beer, but then when they
Yeah.
get up to go do it, no, that's hard. So, you got to find a reason to motivate. I'm a big proponent too, Mark, of why, right? So, what is their reason? Why? Why is a reason they should move? Why is a reason they should quit smoking? Do they have kids? Do they have a family? Do they want to retire? Do they want to travel? Do they want, whatever that reason is, tap into that. Remember that first thing in the morning, wake up, be grateful, be thankful for what you have, your health, your fitness, your job, these roads, the ability to work in an environment where a lot of folks lost their job, provide for your family, have a roof over their head, and use that as motivation, and then start your day and get going, right? That'll help that mindset, I feel like.
That's funny you say that, because when they sign up for our program or we get them in, one of the, I think it's week 2, we have a whole lesson on what's your why. And the whole goal is, let's
Love it.
dig deeper than, hey, I want to lose 5 pounds. It's
Yeah.
what's the reason behind that. And then let's write it on a sticky note. Let's write it in your phone where you're going to see it every day or very consistently, and
Yep.
keep remembering that when times get tough.
Yeah,
I
I
completely
put it
agree.
as my background on my computer screen. You can't see it, but I
Oh,
look at
awesome.
it every day when it pops up. I got a picture of my family, my goals, my banner goals, and like rocks that I need to get completed every day, every week, every month, that kind of stuff. So,
That's awesome.
um, all right, well, we're going to come towards an end here, Mark. How do the listeners get a hold of you? What's the best way to take action? Because Coach said, let's fucking move. How do we get them in touch with you? What do we do?
Yeah, so if you're a driver or a company, Google, go on any social media, the Trucking Fitness Company. You can find us right there. If you're a driver, sign up right on our website. If you're a company, you can find me on LinkedIn. Send me a DM. Let's set up a call. Talk about, hey, it's a little bit more specifics about your company. See if it's a good fit for us, and see if it's a good partnership. And we'll start implementing it and help your drivers. Or you can email me at mark@truckinfit.com. So truckinfit.com, or right there on our website we've got a tab that says trucking companies. You click on that and then it'll lay out everything and give into more details about our program too. But I'm really big on LinkedIn. I really try and I really enjoy the entrepreneurial business side of things. So worst case scenario, connect with me and just start some conversations on my post.
I love it. Awesome. Any parting wisdom, Thomas?
No, other than take his advice and get moving, I think that's something we all need to do. I mean, it's
Yep.
been great talking with you, man. Thank you for all the information.
I'm
Yeah.
actually headed. I'm headed from here to go work out. So,
Nice.
on it's what is it, 9 o'clock? So I postponed my workout to come talk to Mark. So,
Well, there you
but I'll
go.
still get it in. We're
Good.
still gonna
Hey,
go.
thank you so much for having me on. It was great meeting you,
Man,
Thomas,
thank you,
and
Mark.
thank you for
I,
coming
I
on.
was super pumped to have you on this podcast. I think the value you bring to the industry is so awesome. So it's
Definitely
contagious. I
unique.
love it. So awesome. Well, this has been a podcast by Get a Load of This. Hopefully, you found a lot of nuggets in there. Great value. Bring it to your drivers and help that retention, which in turn helps you make more money. So thank you guys.
Thank
We're
you.
out.
See ya.